What's good, homies? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, we talk a lot about simps, but what I want y'all to keep in mind is that the worst kind of simp in the world is the kind of simp who shames you for not being a simp. Now, here's this guy who I have spoken on before, worshiping his woman, saying that his woman is his God, saying things like obedience to her is how he keeps her. But when it gets to the point where I hear him trying to shame young men who have not yet found their path in life, who have not yet achieved their goals in life, who are just registering the process of their progress for not being in a position to be a trick, oh, we got a problem. Because the last thing these young men out here need when they're already dealing with the pressure to succeed, the pressure to perform, the pressure to elevate themselves as rapidly as they can with all these ways of making fast money that can end up with you dead or in jail. The last thing they need is some sucker coming out saying you don't have the right to call a simp what he really is if you ain't got enough money to be a simp. Let me tell y'all something, man. Never listen to a dude like this, because he only has one thing on his agenda, and that's to make his beta male simp mangina activity seem like it's above you because he can do it and you can't. Remember this, you don't want to do it. He obviously does. Let's take a deep dive on this one. But first, let's elevate to a higher plane. Prepare for takeoff.
So there's been this trend on social media where I see a bunch of dudes in people's comments talking about, oh, dude's a simp, right? Let's be honest, bro. How you out here calling people a simp, but yet you can't even walk up 3 flights of steps without getting tired, let alone do 20 push-ups, so you can't protect a woman to save your life. You're calling people a simp, but yet you can't even cut the tab or pay any bills for a woman because you don't have skills in order to even make money to provide for your family. Or you calling people simps, but you have no sense of loyalty, obedience, or discipline to anything in your life. So you can't even lead anybody. So before we even start talking about simping, we need to figure out how to get ourselves in order first as men before we start minding other men's business. More importantly, if we want to be alphas, then how about we fit the description of alphas? And that doesn't mean disrespecting or degrading women. That means us being better as men and stepping up to that plate. But mind your damn business.
Now, this guy always has something, and he thinks he's doing a wonderful thing by constantly elevating and praising his woman. Hey, man, if you want to praise your woman, do that. But how dare you stick your nose out here, man, and rag down on these young guys out here, man, who hadn't gotten to the point. You ain't always had money, homie. Now you want to act like because you got a little paper, you want to rag down on these young guys whose position you used to be in and tell them they ain't nothing. They're beneath you, even though they may possibly get to their success before you got to yours or at an earlier age than you got to yours. Now, this is the worst kind of man on the planet, man. Instead of saying, put yourself in a position to win without the little sly remarks, because you know this is mostly directed at men who haven't achieved their goals yet. Most of us men in our 30s and 40s, man, we've already achieved our goals. This can only be directed at the young men who call him a simp. Well, here's the thing. If a young man is taught that if you do that, you go to prison, he has the right to call that man over there who's doing that stupid because he's going to prison. If a young man is taught that if you do that, that's a positive thing, he has the right to look at that man over there and say, man, you're doing the right thing, bro. I wish you much success. And by the same token, if he's been taught that that's the wrong way to deal with women, that's a simp, that's a trick, don't do that, he has the right to look at you and tell you, hey, man, you a trick. You talking as if you're not a man. You talking as if your woman is the man and you the woman. And this is the problem with a bunch of these guys out here, man. They want to give you some advice after they tear you down. Any man who tries to tear you down first before he builds you up, man, he is trying to be God. That man isn't God. He can't even build himself up. He needed God to build him up, so he gonna turn around and try to step on you? Yes, stay on your grind. But you have the right to call a spade a spade. And you don't have to compete with a man who's telling you Hey man, get your money up to a level where you can pay women. I want you to listen to the words the man said. Yeah, you calling me a simp and you ain't even got the money to pay a woman bill. Fool, we don't look at money as a way to pay a woman bills. Never let a man make you look at yourself and say, well, I can't afford to take care of a woman. You may not even never want to take care of a woman a day in your life. I don't take care of now right now. Don't let guys shame you because you still on your grind, young homies. You just doing your thing. The same way that guy was doing his thing, you doing yours. The difference between you and him, though, is that you could grind and you got your nose to the grindstone building your life without some broad, man, where you got to always be praising her and giving her reverence like she's your God. The same way you can call a rich man rich, you can call a poor man poor. Don't matter if you rich or poor. If you 5'7" and all your partners 6'3", you short. But if you got another partner that's 5'4", guess what? He's short. If you weigh 300 pounds and all your partners weigh 200 pounds, then yeah, okay, you the big guy in the group. But if you get another partner that weighs 500 pounds, guess what? He the big guy in the group. You have the right to call what you see. And if a man don't want to be called that, then maybe he should stop living that lifestyle. See, everybody ain't being called a simp. Everybody ain't being called a trick. And here's the thing. If you got a woman that's worthy of being taken care of, man, take care of her. If you got a woman, man, that contributed into the process of your progress, take care of her. I just put a joint up yesterday, man, about Gucci and Keisha. Great example of how a woman earns the position of being a wife. See, we know that. But the problem is you got these guys who are always telling me, oh, wife of this and queen, and she's my queen to be. And to him, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. And I'm going to be honest with you. I can applaud that. Because if you got a woman at home with you, you got to see her every day. She better be the most beautiful woman in the world to you. Because if not, boy, you're going to be knocking down everything that move. Or at least have a side chick or two. But when you take your own outlook, which you know is based on you pedestalizing your woman above yourself, and then you perpetuate the energy out here to these young guys that if they're not doing that, they beneath you. Man, let me tell you something. Money don't make you a man. There's women out here with money. There's kids out here getting money. Money is not the measure of a man's masculinity. Money is not even the measure of a man's hustle and grind. And money is surely not the barometer by which we gauge whether a man is masculine with his woman, whether he's a trick or a simp, or whether he's a pimp or a player. That's not how we do that. So for you to be guilt tripping these young men for not being in the situation that they will be in someday and tell them, until you get enough money to take care of a woman, don't rag me for taking care of a woman. Hey man, tricking is tricking. Simping is simping. Just like pimping is pimping. The bottom line is, brother, you are dead wrong for ridiculing these young men and trying to shame and embarrass them for not having the amount of money that you have or not have traveled as far on their road to success as you have. This is why dudes like you have mostly female followers, because you can cater to the need of a woman to elevate herself by standing on somebody else's shoulders. And you are starting to embody those same characteristics. Never listen to a man who shames you because of the money you make or don't make. Never listen to a man who elevates you because of the money you make or don't make. Because rich and famous are all relative. And no man should be passing judgment on men younger than him for not having arrived to the point that he's arrived at life. It's a travesty, and it represents the one thing that I think is wrong with this society. Men would rather lead women than lead men. And homie right here is a prime example of that. Boy ain't never got one bad word to say about women, but he always running his mouth and yapping off about men, which is cool until you start ragging these young men. When you were young and dumb, you needed a teacher, not an overseer. And right now, this is the mentality that we should shun the most in this particular society. Young men, don't let a man shame you because you at level 3. You young. You on your grind. Keep going till you get to level 9. Don't worry about another man who's been grinding twice as long as you have and telling you that you should be ashamed for not being on his level. And how dare you speak against his wrongdoing simply because you're not on his level. If you got a math teacher that tells you 2 and 2 is 5, you better stick with the one that tells you 2 and 2 is 4. Because that one really hopes you pass the test. The other fool want to keep all the accolades for himself. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you men have to say. I'm out.
Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Simps claiming that they pimps, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto.